Very good. Now, over the last few weeks, we've been going through the workbook, which I showed you last week. I tore my workbook apart and I put it in those pockets to protect it so that I can use all of the forms, print them out, copy them whenever I want to use them more and everything. And we're working our way through the Keto Continuum Workbook together. And we've shared our whys and we've shared our personal stories and things. And we worked on, like what products helped us get through the first part of keto. This week, I let you all know that we were going to be talking about the clearing out of our cupboards and the preparing to start keto. Now, if you've just started keto, let's let those who have been doing keto for a while talk first. So if you're a total newbie to keto, let's hear from the experienced people first. And then we'll get to you and see if you have questions about starting your process. Okay. So one of the things that Dr. Boz talks about in starting keto that's important is for us to figure out whether we're a part of the 200 club. Now, does anyone know what the 200 club is? You'll have to unmute yourself to tell me.
If you eat 200 carbs or more a day.
Okay, it's if you eat 200 carbs or more a day. That's right, Tammy. And Dr. Boz suggests that those who are in the 200 club, she suggests you taking 3 days before you start your keto and tracking what your regular food is to see if you're eating 200 carbs or more. Because if you are, you're going to need to go slower or you'll have some bumps in the road, right? Now, let's raise our hands. How many of us were in the 200 club before we started keto? Pretty much, I think everybody. I took 2 months actually to ease into keto before I got fully going. And I think that's one reason I didn't get the keto flu and I didn't get terrible constipation and everything, or have poop issues like Dr. Boz talks about. So this is not a waste of 3 days. This is a good 3 days to see where you're actually starting so that you don't go too hard, too fast, and really get hit with the keto flu and other problems. The other thing Dr. Boz says everyone should be careful about is if you take any of the following medications or have any of the following medical issues. One, if you take blood pressure medication, you need to be very aware. And you need to see your doctor before you start your ketogenic journey. If you have less than 25% kidney function, if you take Coumadin or any other blood thinner, if you take a diuretic prescription, which is called a P pill, if you inject insulin daily, or if you drink alcohol daily, be careful. And alcohol can really cause problems with the keto process, especially if you're drinking it daily. Okay, then the other thing that Dr. Boz suggests is we do cupboard and refridge therapy. So I know Renee is new to the group, but she's not new to keto. She's been doing keto since February. And I think she has a kind of unique take on her cupboard therapy, how she had to, because of her circumstances, how she had to start keto and how long it took her to really totally get everything keto. So I'm going to ask Renee to start by telling us how she had to start.
Well, honestly, when Becky invited me, it was in January, and I wasn't too sure, if I really wanted to do this. And And from everything I read in the book, you definitely don't just flip a switch and yay, you're keto. Her encouragement from her book was that, um, especially if you are insulin resistant, which I am, it's best to eat what you already have of the bad foods. And as you have to replace foods in your cupboard, you only replace them with the keto friendly items. So I slowly ate through all the garbage in my kitchen. And then as I was replacing foods, I was only replacing them with my keto friendly things. And I was doing this also through a lot of other health issues as well. I went through a cancer surgery, and I went through having to have my neck fused. And but you know, doing all that, I'm going to tell you, if you're following the keto correctly, you will have less of the keto flu issues and the constipation. Um, and the thing that I also found was how rapidly I healed from all these different surgeries. I kept having the doctor say, "You're not supposed to be able to do that at all." And I said, "Well, I'm doing good things to help my body be healthier," and it showed in how my ability to heal. But that was pretty much my issue, was that I had to kind of ease into it. And I'm telling you though, when I did go off, oh my goodness, what a mess. Um, it definitely got my pipes stopped up. And I don't mean my kitchen pipes. It was the pipes in my body, you know, and having to try and go to the bathroom. And, you know, that's not something you want to do. And I know when I've inadvertently gone back over on my carbs per day, because everything, even if I can poop, it gets really sticky, you know, so I have to work at it more. Not that I'm quote constipated, but rather than having a nice easy flow, I kind of have to sit there longer. So, you know, I found that when I am eating in my keto zone, it's funny for me, though, my easiest way to track it is how simplistic my bowel movements are.
Mhm. Yep. So with me, I've been on a restricted diet for quite a while because of allergies and sensitivities. So I didn't have a lot of bad foods, but I had a lot of bad habits. And my bad habit would be stopping by the quick stop or the C-store and, you know, grabbing a candy bar or grabbing a small bag of chips to munch on and stuff. And so that was my big thing. I know in that American Tradition series that Dr. Boz did, she had her sister-in-law go through the cupboards and throw everything in the trash. And she talks about that, doing that with her mother and her father, going through the pantry and just taking everything and throwing it all away. A lot of us, you know, I know some of us are on limited budgets, you know, we're on budgets and we can't just throw away all our groceries and go out and buy new. We have to use up what we have. And that's what Renee did because she's on a limited budget. And so she couldn't just ditch everything and go out and get what she had. The other thing that was different about me is because of my sensitivities, I couldn't go and get all the sugar substitutes that many people use in keto. And I can't eat anything coconut. So I didn't buy coconut oil and the coconut supplements, the coconut oil supplements, or coconut flour. And I can't have almond flour either. So I didn't do that for myself. But I see a lot of people, you know, other YouTube channels talking about, well, I substitute this for that and this for that and everything. And I'm kind of glad I had sensitivity, so I didn't do that. Because, you know, that's way too much thinking. So who else would like to talk about how they eased into keto and what they threw out of their cupboards? How about you, Martha? Looks like you're unmuted. You want to tell us what you did?
Sure,
Okay.
I will do that. Um, are you still there?
Yeah, we lost your camera, but we can hear you. Oh, there you are.
Am I back? Well,
Yeah, you're back.
my camera is still not showing me. So I will tell you how I did my cupboard though. When I first started keto,
Mhm.
it was pretty much a thing. If I knew there were cheats in the house, I would be in them. And we were in a small community then. It was during a winter, and we had wintered in Arizona. And um, so while we were in this little community is when I started. So I took all of my foods out. I put them in our driveway under our carport. And as people came by, I gave away what I had that was in my cupboards that was not good. And I went ahead and as I needed whatever I needed to eat for like 2 days, I made sure I had that in the house. And then I just slowly started building up with all of my good keto foods. And so that was the easiest way for me because I knew that if a sugar strike hit in the middle of the night and I got weak, I would get up and if I don't care if it was just chocolate chips, I would have eaten the chocolate chips.
Mhm.
So I just know how I am with cheap foods, and sweets are definitely my
Mhm.
my big problem. So that's how I basically cleaned out my refrigerator and cleaned out my pantry
Pantry.
and
Wow,
just
that was a great idea, taking all of the stuff you couldn't use outside and just passing them off to all the neighbors.
I
Renee?
did. I put it on my card table. I set it under my shelter. Every because in the community, I mean, everybody walked, so
Yeah.
it was
Mhm.
a thing. We were right on the corner. They were coming by my house every single day. So it was
Mhm.
like, hey, do you use this at your house? Come in here and look. If you need some of this, you go ahead and take it. So yeah, I just shared what we had and cleaned out.
That's
I did
fabulous.
something kind of similar to that, and I didn't even think about adding that earlier, Becky, but we have a food pantry at our church. And so the foods that I knew I definitely couldn't eat, or I knew I was going to snack on, or were going to cause me issues to even have visible, I actually took them to our food pantry because we have a lot of people in our community who need food. So it was really kind of a nice thing because I knew I was at least helping someone else not starve. You
Mhm.
know, they might
Yes.
have been better if they could be on keto, but it, not starving was better than, than nothing.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Mentally, in my heart, I would never be able to throw food in the garbage.
I
I
couldn't
Yeah.
mean,
either.
I just wouldn't be able to do that. So, yes, the food pantry is definitely a good idea too.
Mhm. So, Miss Tammy, it looks like you have your hand up. Are you wanting to?
My situation's a little different than yours in that, and my husband is not on keto, and I could not throw food away, and I just choose not to eat it. It can be in the house. I buy him cookies, I buy him pies, I buy him chocolate, and I choose not to eat it, and that's not a problem for me. Now, maybe
Wow.
back at the beginning, I don't remember it being a problem very much either. So I did not throw out anything. Now I bought, and I have a little shelf. I have a place that has my stuff, and I may, at the beginning you want substitutes for the stuff that you can't have. And so I have
Mhm.
almond chocolate. I've got I got almond flour, coconut flour. I've got Lily's chocolate. If I want that, I buy chocolate and all the stuff. I have stuff for mine, but all of his stuff is still in the house too. He eats pretzels, he eats bread, he eats cookies. I buy them and I buy cookies for him too, But I just choose not to eat it and I don't have a problem. After so long on keto, you're not even hungry anymore. And I don't even really want that stuff. If I'm going to eat something, it's going to be chips and salsa. It's not going to be a cookie and pretzels. So,
I'm still waiting for that day, Tammy.
well, you know, I used to think that too. I used to think there's no way I could go, you know, a day without eating or not being hungry. But it did come, and it didn't maybe take that long, maybe 3 or 4 months. And I'm like, wow, I'm never hungry anymore. And I eat because the clock says it's time to eat. I eat because my husband made dinner and we're sitting at the table and I'm eating. I hardly ever eat because I'm hungry. I eat because of other reasons.
Wow, it's impressive, Tammy, because I'm not there. My husband and I and our middle daughter are keto, but our youngest daughter is not. And so we actually have a locked cabinet for her things, because if I get stressed or like I'm overtired and I need something for energy, I'll steal her little chocolate bars or her whatevers, you know, to give myself a boost or emotionally support myself. So actually, true confession time. This week, I had my husband change the padlock on that to a combination that I no longer know what it is, because I was abusing the cabinet.
There you go. Yeah.
When you get into the cabinet and you eat half a bag of Fritos corn chips just because you're upset, it's time to change the combination. And I am not too proud of this, but I am addicted to carbs, especially sweets.
Mhm.
And I know it's been a year now since I've been going on this journey, and I've had great success. I've lost 100 pounds. I've got my blood sugars under control and everything, but I do not have my emotions and belief systems under control. And when I get upset, when I feel discouraged, those old belief systems kick in and say, eat to feel better. And that's what I do.
Yeah.
So now we have a new combination lock on the cabinet, and I don't know what the combination is. I actually had the thought this morning to start trying to figure it out. And then I said, how stupid is that? You know, how stupid is that? That's ridiculous. And so thankfully, I as soon as I had the thought, I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. And so anyway, all right. So who else? Welcome, Julie. Renee wishes to say something.
Well, you were talking about true confessions. I almost blew it the other day because I wanted a pizza so bad. I thought I was going to lose my ever loving gourd.
Mm-hmm.
And I finally decided to get the cauliflower crust from the grocery store. And I made my very first cauliflower pizza this evening. And I took some vegetables and pre-cooked the frozen vegetables and pre-cooked them in the microwave. And I put an Alfredo sauce because marinara sauce tears my tummy. And so I put my sauce down and I put my cooked vegetables and I put my mozzarella cheese on there. And I think I died and went to heaven. It's almost like having an out of body experience because I felt like I was cheating, but I wasn't. I was actually eating a real keto meal. But it was fulfilling my desire to cheat.
Now, I will say, Renee, I did that one time. I got one of the small pizza crusts and I just put cheese and meat and tomato sauce, because I don't have a problem with tomato sauce on it. But it did push my blood sugars up because I ended up eating the whole round of the pizza, and that was too many carbs for me. So do check your blood sugar and make sure it hasn't pushed yours up too high. But yeah.
Well, that's what I just had for dinner. I had what I call a pizza ball. I take a little, oh, here's my little ball. It goes in the oven. And I just put pizza sauce in the bottom, and it's 3 carbs for like a 1/4 cup. So I didn't even use that much. And then I put cheese and I put there's a sausage blend, and I put pepperoni and I put spinach, and I bake it in the oven for 20 minutes, and then that's what I eat. There's no crust, and I
Yeah.
just call it a pizza bowl. So
Yeah. Hey, that sounds really yummy, Tammy. Yeah.
well, Diet Doctor has a skillet pizza to put recipe to just cook in a pan on the top of the oven, and that's
Mhm.
really good too. But I now I do this I do the pizza bake in the oven. It's really just all the same stuff. You just put it in a bowl and put it in the oven.
Yeah.
Tammy, if you
So
would, I would appreciate if you could maybe when we're done with our Zoom meeting, maybe share that recipe for Becky to share with the rest of us.
You could
'Cause
type it
that's a
in the
great
chat.
idea.
You could type it in the chat, Tammy, if you want, and because I can share the chat with everyone.
yeah, we can all look
So
at it.
yeah. So is there someone else that wants to talk about their kitchen therapy, their cupboard therapy when they began keto? No one with a pressing urge. Well, then I'm going to ask Julie, who just joined us, to unmute herself because I'd like to introduce her to the group. You're not unmuted yet.
How's that?
There you are. There you are. So this is Julie Tosted.
Hi, everybody.
She and I have known each other about 24, 25 years. We go to the same church, and we live about 26 miles apart. We don't see each other very often because of our insane schedules and everything. And Julie's been trying to come to our meetings for the last month, but her schedule's been crazy. So I'm glad to see her tonight. And Julie is one of my co-hosts. So if I or Scott can't be here, we're going to count on Julie to pinch hit for us and everything. So Julie, tonight's topic is talking about how you prepared your house and what you did for yourself to start your keto journey. So that's what we're talking about. Can you tell us about what you did?
Oh, that is kind of different for me because I work overnights as an advanced EMT, so I have like 3 houses because I work in 3 different areas. And for me, I here at the house, I really didn't do a whole lot of cleaning because I have not really brought too much in from the previous time that I did keto a couple of years ago. My husband's not doing keto, so, but he's had a gastric bypass, so he doesn't eat a whole lot. My grocery bill has really diminished because I'm doing the 16-8, so I hardly eat at home. A lot of times I'm at work and I just have to suffer through all the nice aromas of everybody cooking all times of the day because we don't always get to eat at the same time either. And people apologize, and I said, no, you got to do what you got to do for yourself, because who knows when you're going to get called out, if it's the middle of the night or if it's noon, or you don't have anything to base your times of eating on. And then the easiest one for me is when I go out to a house about 4 hours from here, because that house has staples in it, but it's more like seasonings and things like that. And people that have left their food there, that's their food. So you don't consume that. You bring your own food. I just bring what I need for the few days that I'm there. I don't have much temptation that way because I don't bring anything that tempts me. And it's very simple out there, a lot easier than my full-time job here close to home or at home, because I go to the grocery store when I'm on my way out and I pick up the few things that I need, and that's what I have for the weekend or the 3 days I'm there. So it's very simple out there. I have a quilt for a hobby while I'm out, and I have the ability to leave my sewing machine there, and I a lot of times just don't eat until I feel hungry. And whether that be, it might be 18 hours or 20 hours before I actually feel hungry. And then I decide, boy, I didn't realize it was that late because I've been so into my quilting. or on a run or whatever the case may be. So yeah, it is a different for me than a lot of people have. But you just got to make it work where you're at and what you do.
Yeah. And your schedule is so unpredictable. It's kind of good that you don't need to be eating 3 meals a day at a particular time or having 2 snacks and everything.
Right.
Fitting 2 meals into your schedule is, I think, would be easier than trying to fit 3.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. For instance, the other day at work, we had a transfer out and we turned around and had another transfer out. And then by the time we got back and you get everything ready, it's time to go to bed. Then we got called out at 2 a.m. So, I have to pick, okay, I'm hungry now. Am I in a place where I can either go to a burger place and get a bunless burger, which is what I did the other day. I just like, okay, it's 2 o'clock. I want to get my last meal in for the day. So I went to a burger place. I asked for 2 patties with all the deluxe stuff in the middle and wrapped in paper so I could eat it like a sandwich. And it was delicious because I was starving.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it worked great. Worked great
That's
that way.
great. That's great. So Jenny or Patricia or Wilma want to talk about your cupboard therapy? Oh, I saw Patricia's hand first. So Jenny, you'll be next.
Sorry. Julie, I was fascinated the other day when I watched your interview with Elizabeth. You are an amazing person. You've
Oh,
got
well, thank
horses.
you.
You've got horses and all kinds of stuff. I couldn't do what you're doing. I mean, could I ask you, how old are you?
I just turned 60.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. You're doing great. I'm about to have my 70th birthday, but even at 60, I could never have done what you're doing. But so I wanted to tell you that before I started keto with Dr. Boz a year and a half ago, I had already been working with another plan. I mentioned it last week. It was from Lynn Janae Recitas, and she did a good job of helping me to get rid of all the processed food out of the house. And she was very much against seed oils, even though I don't think she really understood why she was, but she got me to get rid of seed oils. So, she wasn't too good about the carb problem, but so I really in the house, I don't have that much junk food, and I haven't been doing junk food for a long time. But I do have a husband who he's 6'3", and I think he's 200 pounds. So he doesn't need to lose any weight. And, he likes his little things around, if he gets hungry for stuff, I'm not even going to mention the stuff he likes, but you can understand. He doesn't agree that I can throw away stuff that he likes.
Yeah.
And I need to tell you all that it's coming up. Thanksgiving is coming, and my daughter and my son are coming with their children and their spouses, and they are making the biggest plan for recipes. And I've already said, I'm going to help you prepare this stuff, but I'm not eating it. But the truth of it is, it's going to be around the house.
Yeah.
And so we went to Disney World this summer. I'm talking a little bit too much, but we went to Disney World this summer, and it was no problem. Everywhere we went, I ordered 2 hamburger patties with no bun. And I was able to go all through Disney World on hamburgers. So
Oh, that's good.
it's doable. If you're not, addicted to the sweets and the carbs,
Mhm,
it's doable to be among people that are eating.
mhm.
But I understand it's not easy for everybody. But anyway, that's my story.
Okay, Patricia. And you know what? You really don't look like you're about to turn 70. You really don't. I pegged you as late 50s, somewhere early 60s. So you're well preserved there.
Yeah, totally agreed. When you said that, I thought I was trying not to, just because my camera is on, I really didn't want to be going, oh my God, but yeah, no, you look fabulous for your age. I run a Chinese medicine clinic, so I work with people of all ages, and as they say in the movies, you look marvelous, darling.
Wilma's put her hand up, so I'm going to answer Wilma's hand up. Good evening, Wilma.
Well, cleaning out our cupboards was kind of interesting. We found things in there that we had forgot we had purchased. So, there was a lot of things that just weren't worth doing anything with, hitting the trash. They were so old.
Oh,
And I had gone gluten-free for 6 years, so we had given up a lot of the carby stuff. So we really didn't have that much to clean out.
mhm, mhm.
But yeah, it was an eye-opener, some of the stuff we found.
Yeah. I had an experience this week with leftover. I mean, things that were out of date. A few years ago, I was trying to lose weight and I bought some of them fun size candy bars of my favorite candy. And I gave the bags of them to my husband and I told him to hide them somewhere and only give me one at a time when I asked for them, because otherwise I'd eat all of them. Well, I was looking for the Christmas lights and I found the box of these candy bars that went out of date in 2019. Guess who ate some of them? I did, because they're my favorite and they still tasted okay. Anyway, I think Jenny had her hand up. And oh, Julie, were you just going to make a quick comment? Okay.
Yeah, I was just going to comment that I went and sat on my grandkids yesterday again, like I do often. They kind of need that once in a while. No, all fun beside. My daughter and her husband, they have decided that they're doing keto. Well, it took husband just a little bit longer to, get on board with it. And as they're walking out, hey, Mom, if you want to clean out all the non-keto stuff in the fridge and cupboard, go ahead. And I'm like,
Excellent.
all right, I get to do it, And yeah, they don't know I threw out 5 bags of stuff.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, I won't tell them.
I opened their fridge and I said, took a camera and I said, look at this. And my daughter goes, I don't think I've ever seen it that empty.
Well, once you clean out all the junk, it's easier to clean your fridge.
Right.
Yeah,
so, for sure. But yeah, it's very therapeutic, especially when it's not yours.
Hey, she gave you permission, so have at it.
It's interesting. My refrigerator, Becky, went from being filled with all the stuff really that makes us sick, down to where I've opened my fridge the other day and I was like going, oh my gosh, my refrigerator looks so impressive because of all the vegetables in there, as I've discovered new vegetables that I like. I mean, wow.
And Martha, you had a comment?
I did, darling. I am sorry, but I'm going to have to leave you girls a little early. I have 3 grandchildren that just showed up at my door.
Oh, well,
I'm
that's
going to go
great.
visit grandchildren and I will
Okay,
catch
Martha.
you and I will, is there going to be a replay?
I'll send you the recording. Okay.
You are so good. Thank you so much. See
All
you
right,
next
Martha.
week.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. Now over to Jenny.
Hi, everybody. I've been on keto for 2 or 3 years, but not strict keto. I was doing on net carbs instead of total carbs. So I don't have any junk, but when I would cheat, I would get a half gallon of ice cream and I wouldn't just sit down and eat it. But within a day, going back and get a scoop and a scoop and a scoop, within a day, that whole half gallon would be gone. And of course I would be sick, but then a week later I would do it again. So I can't buy that stuff because I eat it all in one setting pretty much. So yeah. I don't have any I don't have any junk food in my house. I do have a few months ago, I got a couple of sugar-free or, well, no sugar added. It's made with I don't know what, from Trader Joe's, the sugar-free dark chocolate.
Mhm.
And the 3 little squares is supposed to be 1 net carb. That was when I was doing net carbs. But I would eat the whole chocolate bar and then be in the bathroom all night. So
Mm.
I don't eat those anymore because they're good. So
Uh-huh.
I can't even bake with almond flour and coconut flour because I eat the whole recipe instead of 1 serving. Unless I'm taking it somewhere, and then I will do that.
Mhm.
So
Mind if
I don't,
ask you that you're
I
in
don't
the
have a lot of
bathroom
junk in my
because-
house. I do have the almond flour and coconut flour. But
Mhm.
I took Dr. Boz's course in August. And so since then, I've been very strict. I've only strayed a couple of times, but only to 30 or 40 total carbs in a day for a family dinner.
Mhm.
And not the cake, but just with extra, like a piece of sourdough bread that my granddaughter makes from scratch.
Mhm.
So I've been really strict since August, and I've been in ketosis since then every day. I just now, a couple of weeks ago, got the meter. So I've been, but my ketones were pink all this time. So I'm very proud of myself.
Yeah, very good.
So,
Wow.
and up until that time, I had lost 25 pounds up until August. And I had stopped losing because, I really wasn't doing the right stuff. But since then, I've now lost another 13 pounds. And I'm probably at my goal, but I want to lose 4 more pounds. I mean, that's,
Mhm.
but if I stay here, I'm really happy.
So
That's great.
Renee,
That total carbs is the trick. And of course, eating
Yeah.
fat.
yeah.
And when I notice on I track on Chronometer
Mhm.
pretty religiously.
Mhm.
And sometimes, almost all the time, I'm only eating like 700 calories, 800 calories, but I'm not hungry.
Mhm.
So by the time I get my protein allowance in, which is really small, I think, but I'm feeling fine, and my carbs, and I don't always get the whole amount of fat, but enough that I'm really not hungry and I'm feeling fine. And I work out at the gym with a trainer once a week and on my own a couple of times a week. So I'm working out, and the trainer just is amazed. She says, I can't believe you got the muscle mass that you do at your age. So
Oh.
she says, my
Very good.
30-year-olds won't do what you do. I'll be 75 in a couple of months.
Oh, you too. You don't look
Congratulations.
75.
But I've worked since I was 11 years old. So when I
Yeah.
retired, I didn't know what to do because when I was 11, I babysat for a family that had 5 kids.
Oh.
So I was a
Wow.
waitress and I was a nurse. So I mean, I've worked hard work
Mhm.
Right.
all my life.
Mhm.
But I was 66 and God gave me cancer. And he says, it's time for you to retire. But now I'm cancer free.
Yeah. So
So,
Renee,
but
did you
that's
have
my
a
story.
comment?
Well, my question was for her is that when you were having having to go to the bathroom, was it because you couldn't poop or because you were like on poop overload?
Oh, well, when I had the whole chocolate bar and it was the sugar alcohols and made me have diarrhea. But
Hmm.
if I don't eat that kind of stuff, I'm pretty constipated. I only go like every 3 days.
Mhm.
So, and I take magnesium and I take Epsom salts baths, and I'm going to try to take more Epsom salts baths. I don't want to take milk of magnesia because on a regular basis, because I was a GI nurse and I saw when you are actually addicted to milk of magnesia, it
Right.
changes your bowel.
Yeah,
But I mean,
that
this
was
is like
that was
if you
my
take it every
question.
single day. I don't mean like
Yeah.
how Dr. Boz says, take it really when you need it.
Mhm.
But if you start taking it every single day, you will become physiologically dependent on it.
Mhm. Mhm.
So
That's very
I
true.
haven't
That's
got
one of the
chia
things.
seeds. I need to get
Yeah.
chia seeds
Yeah.
and do your chia seed
Patricia,
protocol.
Ginny, I don't know if you heard Dr. Boz this last week. I think it was, yes, it was in her group meeting in Tampa. Did you watch that?
I don't remember what you're talking. What?
Because the question came up, one woman said, I'm getting a little scared. I'm only eating 800 calories a day.
Oh yes, I did hear that. And she said
And then
that's
Dr.
fine.
Boz says, that's not a problem. If your insulin is low, it doesn't matter. The calorie being low is not a problem.
Yeah.
It's
Mhm.
only when your insulin is high,
Yes,
if your calories are real low.
Mhm.
Yeah, I did hear her say that, and I said, "Oh, yay!" I was glad to hear that. And
And
another
another
thing
time
she was
I wanted-
saying that if your calories are low, even like when you're fasting, you don't lose muscle mass because if the ketones are, I
Right.
think she said like 1.0 or 1.1. I forgot the number, but it wasn't a lot. But it was that the ketones block the mechanism of muscle wasting.
Yeah.
Mhm, mhm.
So
And
I said,
another thing
I love
wanted
that.
I wanted to mention is another time, not this week, Dr. Boz said that it's perfectly normal to only have a bowel movement 3 times a week.
Right.
Mhm.
So
So I'm really not worried because it doesn't, I don't get blocked up. You know, it's
Yeah.
normal when it comes out.
Mhm.
Well, if
Mhm.
you're only consuming 900 calories, you're not going to have a lot of volume
Right.
anyway. So,
So you were talking about your refrigerator. My refrigerator is kind of empty. I've got eggs and I've got bacon, but and some other meats and stuff like that, but I don't even eat a whole lot of vegetables because my total carb is usually around 10.
Mhm.
I had a little bit of broccoli. Now I finished my second of all time 72-hour fast today.
Mm.
So
Go you.
so I'm feeling fine, and I'm not really doing it to lose weight. This is just to do for autophagy. I want to
Yeah.
stay healthy.
Yeah.
exactly.
Mhm.
So that's my story. I'll let somebody else talk.
Okay, well, I think the only one besides our newbie that hasn't spoken yet is Dr. Hanson. Wake up.
Yeah, I'm awake here. Well, you know, the thing is, I don't really remember too much of, you know,
Put
cleaning
your
out
camera
the
down.
cupboards. Yeah, I don't really remember too much of,
There
you
you
know,
go.
cleaning out the cupboards and things, probably because, you know, Elizabeth did most of it anyway. But I, you know, since I went on to keto kind of gradually over the course of maybe 2 or 3 weeks, I did, you know, like a number of people have said, you know, I ate the carb stuff until it was gone, you know, and then went on to keto, more keto things. I never really felt the urge or the need to substitute things necessarily and change too much, except for like, you know, stir fry that I make. I began to substitute a lot of things, and it ended up pretty much totally different than what I'd started with anyway. So it was something totally new anyway. But you know, so I some of the stuff that, you know, some of the stuff in the cupboard that hadn't expired and was not, you know, opened or anything, I took to the food pantry as well, like a number of people have mentioned. But you know, other than that, I don't really have any uh, amusing stories about cleaning out the cupboards anyway.
No, but talk about your amusing time with Chronometer and how it changed your view of some foods.
Well, the thing is, you know, so with Chronometer, first of all, I entered in, you know, stuff that I was, you know, eating, you know, and so I was, you know, eating a lot of corn and um,
Onion
carrots
and
and
carrots.
onion, right, and beans and stuff, you know, and of course, you know, beans are, you know, mostly carb with a little bit of protein. You know, I had always thought that onions have some sort of oil in them and that there was, you know, some sort of lipid content in onions, but no, they have almost zero. Chronometer shows that onions have almost zero lipid, and it's pretty much all carb. And the thing is, there's very little nutritional value, very few vitamins and or anything in onion necessarily. And the same is true of, well, of course, corn and potatoes, you know. But the other thing is, you know, if you put in like an apple or an orange or something, that they have very little nutritional value either, really. It's pretty much all carb. The oranges have some vitamin C, but the thing is, I think broccoli has more vitamin C. I'll have to look it up again, but you know, because on Chronometer, I put in all sorts of vegetables and things, and you know, all different types of mushrooms, and you know, what's nice is that, you know, cauliflower and broccoli have a good number of nutrients. But you compare an ounce of egg to an ounce of almost pretty much any vegetable, and the eggs have far more nutritional value than any type of vegetable. And the thing is, spinach and kale, those two actually have probably the most nutrition per ounce than anything. And things, kale gets a bad name because people say, oh, it's so bitter, it's not really. Well, the thing is, I've purchased the bags of frozen kale at Walmart, and that's not really bitter at all. To me, it tastes pretty much like spinach. And so, but anyway, I think one of these times I'll actually go through Chronometer and do a comparison, and I can show on the screen, how much nutrition is in an ounce of apple or orange compared to spinach or cauliflower or something. And it's pretty amazing that a lot of the things, a lot of the vegetables that you don't really think are necessarily starchy are actually mostly carb and very little nutritional value.
Scott, you brought up a good point with the kale being so valued as far as the nutrients in it. And the other thing that I discovered, especially because I'm a potato chip hound, but you can take kale and put pink Himalayan sea salt or regular sea salt on it, and put it in your oven at like 250 degrees and bake it. And I'm telling you, it tastes just like you're eating a potato chip.
Oh, really?
So if your cheat is potato chips, they're called kale chips, but you just bake your kale till it's crispy, but it has to be close to, it's like I said 250, but you can also put it on broil but the only problem with doing it on broil, at least for me, is I burn the crap out of it.
Right. Well, is this fresh kale or what?
Yeah, fresh kale.
Oh, great.
You get your fresh kale, rip it up on a sheet, and then some people will because they want the greasy feel like regular potato chips. You could spritz it with olive oil if you wanted to, and then but you sprinkle your sea salt, and it tastes just like you're eating a potato chip.
And the other thing is collard. Collard is it's got a lot of nutrients, and the type of nutrient profile is very close to kale or spinach. And I grew collard in the garden this year, and I found that with collard, it needs to grow in a place where it's in the shade most of the day. And also collard actually does well during the cool part of the season. So during the fall, then when it was close to freezing at night, or even a little bit below freezing at night, my collard actually looked better than it ever had been all summer. Yeah.
Spinach grows like that too. It likes the cooler part.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and I found that with spinach too. You can't put it in full sun. It needs a lot of shade during the day. Yep.
There's a good program called Seed to Spoon that will tell you the best seasons for growing different vegetables.
Yeah.
Which is good because you can then try to change your palate over to where you're eating seasonally correct as well, which is one of the things we teach in Chinese medicine, is to eat seasonally vegetables as well if you can, because then your body's also following the season.
Oh, yeah, right. And just one more thing about nutrition. On Chronometer, put in pumpkin seeds and sunflower seeds, and you'll see that those things are just packed with nutrition. An ounce of sunflower seed has more nutrition than probably any vegetable you can think of. Spinach might come close. I'll have to look at it again, but it's amazing, how different the different foods are.
Okay, Miss Jenny.
Yeah, Scott, I had to laugh when you were saying collard. I could tell you're not from the South, because in the South, it's always collards.
Collards,
and they're really good with lots of
right.
bacon grease. They're delicious. And a little bit of hot pepper sauce, like green pepper, hot peppers that are soaked in vinegar.
Yes.
It makes it, yum.
Mhm.
Of course, I
Yeah, and
can't have
speaking
cardboard with it now because that's my favorite.
and speaking of the
And it was
South,
funny when you said collard instead of
right,
colors.
right, collards, yeah, yeah, and or collard greens they call it too, I think,
Yeah.
yeah. And speaking of the South, I have grown okra a few seasons, but it doesn't always do well here, and I'm not sure exactly why. But anyway, it's got too many carbs in it anyway, so
Yeah. And okra is hard to cook unless you were my mother. She did good. She did a good job of it. I can't cook
yeah,
okra right.
you know, if you pick it fresh and keep it fresh and put it in like a stir fry or something,
Hmm.
it does pretty
Well, that
well.
would work.
Or pick it fresh and just put it in the stir fry right that day. Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm more of a pickled, that's my pickle is my
Pickled okra.
okra.
Yeah, but you're right. It's high. It's high. It is high in carbs. So
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I
So,
had to take it off my list.
yeah. So pretty much all of us have spoken except for Janice, and Janice is our new person, and I don't want to put her on the spot, but I'm wondering, Janice, if you've gotten to do your cupboard therapy and how you felt about it, or do you have questions about starting, or now that you've heard all of us and everything, what would you like to say or ask or anything?
I'm learning actually a lot from just listening to you guys' stories, and you guys keep it so real, for lack of better words. And it's humor, and also it's real.
Mhm,
Your stories. I'm like I said, I'm new to keto. I started off with it with low carb because I've always done low carb through the years, off and
mhm,
on, and that's really worked for me when I'm trying to eat quote unquote right. But
mhm,
I one of my relatives in Texas, my family's really in Texas, told me about the the keto, and I had never heard of it, and so I started researching it and found out about Dr. Boz, and
mhm,
I started off slowly, and I'm about my 4th month into it, and the weight has been coming off very slowly.
mhm,
I really have to watch my intake of carbs, and it's coming off slowly, but I feel better because I have a lot of inflammation, and I'm really not really even doing it for the weight anymore. I mean, that's a bonus, but I just want to feel good. I
mhm,
just want to feel good, and I don't want my ankles swollen.
mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Janice, really, that's what Dr. Boz is all about. Her program, her books, her class is being real. Real
Hmm.
people living real lives, trying to have better health and feel better and, just do better. And that's one reason she's suggested that us people who are just real everyday people, not doctors,
Yeah.
start groups like this so that we can support other real people trying to change their lives. And a year ago, when I started down this path, I had never really thought of doing a support group. And but I need the support because I'm a real person and I find boxes of expired candy bars and I want to
Yes.
eat all of them.
I can relate with the sugar because that's why I am in this group tonight, because I'm like, I need more, because or to hear other people's story or support, because sugar has been an addiction for me. I can get up eating cookies for breakfast,
Oh yeah.
and think nothing of it. And I can't, the lock in the cabinets, I fell out laughing. I was telling my husband, see how serious this is? Now you understand why I cannot have sugar in this house,
Yeah.
because I will go to the store at 1 in the morning if I'm having a craving, the
Well,
gas station, to get a candy bar, just to, and it's just that real.
yeah.
I would
And
like to encourage you to continue trying to reduce your carbs as
Mhm.
close down to that 20 as you can,
Yes.
because I was with you with the swollen ankles, and Becky can attest to this because I kept sending her pictures, and I can remember, eating throughout the day and thinking, this is insane. My ankles are huge.
Yes.
And but when I finally got down to where I was eating the right number of carbs, getting down to that 20 and staying either right at 20 or just under it, I know one of my other, I guess, tells or gives or whatever that my body tells me when I've gone over is my left ankle only, but my left ankle will swell.
That's
So
my problem. It's my left ankle. Yes.
yeah, and
Yes.
that's because it's for me. I think it's because it's your heart channel is more predominant on the left
Yeah.
side.
Mhm.
So, but if you can keep that, the closer you can keep it to the 20, the more you're going to find that your ankles, especially that left one, will stay down more.
Okay.
So let that be your tell. If your left ankle is swollen, you might want to check your number of carbs. You may have gone over your 20.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Well,
And
I know
see if that isn't your cue.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
for me, when I went through cancer treatment 17 years ago, I was the saltaholic prior to that. And coming out of that, I was the sugarholic. And that has been for 17 years. I have struggled with that need for that sugar. But I can tell now I'm on that continuum. I can walk past a candy bar and not have it even faze me, not even have it tempt me once. And one time, I don't know, a month and a half ago or whatever, I went overboard on some carbs, not a lot, probably 30 instead of the 20. And just like Dr. Boz says, I had the headache. I didn't feel good the next morning. She relates it to a hangover. And I'm like, well, I've never had a hangover, but I'm glad I didn't if this is the way you felt with one. So it is true. I mean, you do. If you overindulge when you become fat adapted, you can tell, you will notice. And yeah, sometimes you just don't feel very good when you eat that sugar. How about you, Becky? What'd you find?
Oh, I've had my plenty of times of food hangovers. Um, I'm not a woman who's ever drank. I've had sips of champagne in my life and a little bit of wine, but I'm not a drinker. But let me tell you, food can be just as debilitating in a hangover sense as any kind of alcohol. And you feel kind of nauseated and your head hurts and your stomach's bloated. And for me, if I eat chocolate, my back hurts like the devil. And which is terrible. I love chocolate. But yeah, it's every bit of an addiction as anything else. And that's why we're here. We're all real people. We all have our own issues. We all need support, not just from our family members and our friends where we live, because we live all over the place. But it's groups like this that can help us. And Janice, especially you, I hope as you go down your little journey, you'll come back to us and you can visit the other groups that are on the Dr. Boz Neuron page and everything. Get the support where you need it. Now we had a late joiner, Rhonda, and I don't know if you've been with us before, Rhonda. You want to introduce yourself? You don't have to if you're too shy, but I wanted to give you the opportunity. Anyway, so it's just after 8, and I like to try to do like Dr. Boz suggests, is to end on time because people have lives and they need to get on with them and get in bed and move on down the road. And so if there's any questions or anything pressing anybody wants to say, raise your hand or unmute yourself and give us a holler. Otherwise, I'll introduce what we're going to talk about next week. Any questions, problems, issues, comments, snide remarks?
I might
Okay.
not remember everybody's names, but I will try to include everyone in my little prayers for your keto journey.
Thank you very much, Renee.
Thank you.
Um, and so next week, I want to talk about fat, where all of us get our fat in what we eat. How much fat do we think we're eating? How we add fat if we feel like we're not getting enough fat because our ketones aren't going up. If we've had any struggles eating fat, some people actually have problems eating fat, and it's usually like a digestive enzyme issue for some people, or they might have leaky gut or SIBO or something like that. We can discuss that if that's where you're at. But anyway, so thank you so much for joining us. And Rhonda doesn't seem to be able to unmute herself. Oh, I'm sorry, Rhonda. I don't think it will let me unmute everyone. I'll see if it will let me. No, it's not. It's telling me you have to do it yourself. Oh, Rhonda, you unmuted. Yay. Hello?
Hi, Rhonda.
Hi, Rhonda.
It says you're unmuted, but maybe your microphone isn't working. That's too bad.
You might have your microphone switched off. Occasionally I'll do that. I'll have the microphone actually switched off, and so even though I'm unmuted, I can't speak.
Okay, so be thinking about that this week about she's a neuron. So she's been with Dr. Boz and taking Dr. Boz's class. She's telling us this in the chats in case you guys don't have it open. And Rhonda, since I guess you can hear us, she's been 3.5 years keto. That's great, fabulous. And she doesn't want to keep all of us here since she's having technical difficulties and everything. And so, but I do encourage you, Rhonda, to try and join us next week. And I always post in the meeting notice on the Neurons page each night's video. So since you came in at the end, Rhonda, you can go back and watch the whole discussion that we had and share it with any of your neuron friends if you think they'd enjoy it. And I'm going to turn off the recording at this time, and then we're going to go ahead and close our meeting, okay? Let me find the recording little button. It's around here somewhere. Oh, here it is. All right, so good night, everyone, and see you next Wednesday.